Ay, 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 why is it like that? What could have been?
Hey guys, welcome back to Sgcarmart Chats. This morning we have Dean Cher right here, who's the head of mobility for SP Group. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. We're going to jump straight into it, which is, I think, is a very interesting point here. I mean, you were in law before, no?
Yes.
So how does a person jump from law to SP Group?
Being in law, I have to pay for the sins of my past, right?
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
That's putting it mildly, 007.
So essentially coming here to do EV, to cleanse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
But semi jokes aside, so I think I've always had a more, I guess, slightly commercial bent. Always interested to figure out, what to do.
So being a lawyer and then jumping straight into head of mobility for SP Group, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
I think the first real challenge I had was to update my LinkedIn profile. just kidding. But actually no, but that's quite true. That's quite true actually. The challenge actually has been to, I guess, to constantly react to a very dynamic, EV market that we have in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think now compared to last year and compared to the year before, I think things have changed. So today we are in a Polestar 3.
Yep.
This car didn't exist last year, not in Singapore.
Fair enough.
At least then, so there have been many constant iterations of changes that we see in Singapore.
5 or 6 years ago, I mean, obviously there were EVs on our roads, but they weren't exactly popular then, right? People weren't as educated about electric vehicles then. What were your impressions about EVs then, and what is it now?
I think being in Singapore, the thing that comes to mind is really, what Elon Musk said about Singapore. When he wanted to bring cars in.
Yep.
And then, we basically give him the equivalent of a middle finger, right? Essentially.
Yep.
So I think there's been that part of it. And then we had, the first import of Teslas into Singapore. And then, Tesla itself is a cult brand. I also remember going to the States and, you go to a shopping mall, like, oh, Tesla, wow.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, and then you always can that thing be a reality in Singapore? Well, 5-6 years down the road, look at where we are. Tesla's still fairly popular in Singapore. We can see that the market has evolved quite a bit. So I think over at SP Mobility, we started our journey in 2018.
Okay.
So this is like 6. Next year will be seven years. So we're definitely a pioneer in the game.
Yes.
Which comes with both pros and cons.
Okay.
I think the con is you obviously bleed longer than the rest, so I think
Yes.
it's no secret that I think the charging business itself is still not a profit-making one, and I think but this is something which I also mentioned when I talk when I give like these talks, because when we talk about mass adoption.
Yes.
Until you have mass adoption, actually, everything's more expensive.
In SP Group's definition, what would be the percentage before it becomes mass adoption? Is there a certain number?
Yeah. Which I don't think we have defined what that number is. But I think so if you take a step back, for passenger cars, we've had EVs making up more than 30% of new vehicles for the past, I think since February this year actually.
Yes.
Like 34% I think was the
Yes.
last figure. So which is impressive. I think there have been studies which say that once you cross 30%, actually for it to hit like the next threshold, it's actually much shorter.
Okay, speaking of mass adoption, right? Electric infrastructure, the charging infrastructure in Singapore now isn't quite there yet. Of course, the government has already pledged 60,000 of them across the island by some 2030. I have no doubt that the government will keep to that as much as possible. It's a chicken and egg thing. I mean, there's always talks about, well, if there are enough infrastructure around the island, then EVs will roll out very naturally. People adopt to them very naturally. But on the other hand, people will also say, no, if there are not enough electric vehicles, there won't be electric charging infrastructure around Singapore. What's your take on that?
So it's the proverbial, which came first, right?
Yes.
The charger or the car. But I would have to disagree with your earlier point about, not enough infrastructure. The number of charging points in Singapore keeps changing. I think first we had 15,300. Then very recently we had 13,625, both were in October dates.
Okay.
But even if you take the lower number, 13,000, and we had 28,000 EVs as at end October, we're looking at a very healthy ratio. One EV charging point serving 2 vehicles.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So I think in terms of infrastructure in Singapore, we are doing quite nicely. I mean, I would think.
Okay.
But obviously, when I say that, I also do talk to people who will be like, yeah, Dean, you can tell me this, but where I stay, there's no charger. How?
Where I stay, there's no charger too.
Then I'll say, but brother, maybe where you work got charger.
Actually, it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. It is true.
So I think in terms of chargers, especially for a country which is as small as Singapore, where we don't really have, the way I say it, in Singapore we don't really suffer from range anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what we suffer in Singapore is really transition anxiety, which is really, the fear of changing, moving out from the comfort of your ICE vehicle to an EV.
So what is your personal take on all these rapid expansion of different EV models?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing for Singapore. I think, well, if you take a step back, why are we even bothering with this? Right. So I think Singapore has a 2050 net zero target, and if you listen to PM Lee when he was PM talking about our existential issues, like the rising tides, Singapore, being flooded. I think that there are things that we need to do, and we have seen around the world, things which are happening because of climate change. So I think in Singapore, transportation accounts for 16% of carbon emissions. So it's the third biggest emitter. And it's something that we can all do and we can all take part in. So I think yes, we may not be happy with carbon credits when you take a plane, but driving an EV, well, if you're going to drive a car, then why not an EV, right? So I think that's something that we can all do.
On that note, since you're saying, if we can all drive a car, we should drive an EV. Government said that, our government said that by 2040, no more pure ICE engines, right? It'll all be electrified. Now, when we say electrified, it'll be hybrid, full EV or plug-in hybrid cars, right? In your personal case, would you drive an EV or would you actually buy a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid?
So yes, but so 2 points there. First is, you've touched on an important point. So by 2040, it is not like all cars will be EVs.
That's right.
Because that's also a common misconception.
Yep.
Everyone thinks,
that's right.
just EVs. But no, I mean the nomenclature is a cleaner energy vehicles,
right.
Which can be a hybrid. Today that also qualifies. So I just came back from China actually, and every time you take, you call a TT, or for example, have been picked up in a few EVs, and it's always been quite a pleasant experience.
So you will drive an EV?
I will drive an EV, and I think, and I mentioned this before. To me, right, the EV is not just about a car; it's actually a space.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's actually a space. So if you think about it, an EV, right? So Jeremy here can sit down. He can turn on, he can turn on the aircon.
Yes.
He can, write his email to you, like, Julian, I'm not coming to work anymore.
Please don't do that, Jeremy. Please don't do that. Please continue to come to work.
So essentially, it's a space. It's a living space, actually.
One point, right? You were talking about partnerships and all that kind of stuff. How relevant are all these partnerships? I mean,
it's actually very relevant. because we have not reached mass adoption yet for EVs, and I think ever since coming onto this role, it's very clear to me that we have to work with people.
Okay.
We really have to work with people because many hands make light work, right? So it's like even the fact that the fact of being here actually, it's also a partnership.
Yes.
We are using this to talk to people, to get them to think about things differently.
Fair enough.
Then also on our side, I mean, we also work with like landlord partners as well.
Yes.
So one of our key agreements actually that we did this year was Sgcarmart Group. Yeah, we signed an agreement to install close to 300 overcharging points in their properties.
All at the SingHealth clinics and all.
At their Singapore properties. So this could be your Outram.
Right. Okay. Wow.
And it's a phased approach, which actually makes a lot of sense. I.e., you don't need to put a lot of charges right now, because right now for landlords, right, it's
Yes.
a constant balance between precious car park lots and charging infrastructure.
Yes.
So in Singapore right now, I think the EV adoption based on October figures is only 2.92%, which also means, as we've been traveling on the CTE, if you count 100 cars, technically only 3 vehicles would be EVs.
All right, we are back in the office. It's game time. All right, guys, so now we are back in the studio with Dean again, the head of mobility for SP Group, and we are going to continue the questions while he practices the race. Are there any plans to expand these charging infrastructure that SP has over to other countries? Because we have seen Shell expanding all the way to Thailand, right?
Yes.
So what about SP Group? Is there a chance that are we supposed to see some form of expansion across the border or sorts?
Well, I think at SP Group we have, our roots, we are essentially an engineering company
Yes.
in Singapore. We have offices in Thailand, in Vietnam and in China. But I think for charging, I mean, it began as kind of like a project for us. We were trying to see how we could use our expertise in the grid to also find ways to support Singapore's green initiatives as well.
Okay.
So I think for other jurisdictions, I think never say never, but we do recognize that people do go to Malaysia quite often, and Malaysia is an important jurisdiction.
I gotta say, you're a horrible driver, man.
I do.
I gotta say, you're a horrible driver, man. I mean, you know. So earlier this year, you talked about some Taylor Swift effect, right?
Yes.
The large carbon footprint of entertainment events and whatnot, which you also admittedly, you're part of it, right? In that vein, what do you do to be more sustainable in a day-to-day life? I mean, any tips to give to our audience?
Yeah, so actually we, as a family, we take recycling quite seriously. So we actually constantly recycle. We have a recycling bin at home. So any plastics or papers, we make it a point to recycle. And so my kids actually are very in tune with it. So that's something that we do, and it actually comes from my principles about like not wasting.
Yes.
So as mentioned about China, right? So one of the things that I've noticed this trip is really the amount of paper that we use for a lot of things is just shocking. Like our cardboards. You order bubble tea and it comes with paper, and it's really quite a lot. Yeah. So.
Is SP Group part of that? I mean, is SP Group part of the whole no wastage thing, or is this just you?
It's just me actually. So I'm very concerned about wasting, about not wasting. Why is it like that? What could have been?
Last question as you go around the track, right?
Yes.
One thing that you're looking forward to in 2025. One thing. What will that be?
Well, I think from a business point of view, it would be, to see how this market continues to evolve. I think definitely some interesting things happening that will continue to be quite good for the market. I think we talked about having more EV models on the road.
Yes.
Definitely in terms of infrastructure, a lot more infrastructure on the roads as well. So I think next year will be interesting for that, because if we talk about mass adoption, right, and if you've been following what I've been saying, it really is a journey. So I think and we've been in a journey for quite a long time already. So it's like giving birth to a child, right? You see, so next year will be our 7th year. So in human years, 7 years is when kids go to primary school,
Yes.
Yeah. So
Which
then
is
you can
nevertheless
see
a headache.
them, see them, you see the market maturing from that point of view. So I think that'll be interesting. Then I think that's from the market. Then I think from a personal front. So my eldest daughter will enter secondary 1 next year. So I think if anything, this trip has taught me it's a reminder, right, to stick close to family, So quite important to spend time with them.
So with all this practice, Dean, are you ready for the race? As what I would say, are you ready to lose?
Yeah, we try. If I knock you, does that count?
Oh, well, you can. No stress.
No stress.
Dean, no stress. I know there are a lot of people in this room. You guys can't see how many people there are in the room because obviously you're only seeing the 2 of us. But the fact is, there are a lot of people in this room.
4, 5, yes.
Yeah, there's like 10 easily in this room. Yes. Some pressure on Dean. But Dean, again, no pressure. As the head of mobility. Sorry, I'm just adding pressure. But yes, as the head of mobility in SP Group, show them, our audience, exactly what you're made of.
Okay, let's go.
3, 2, 1, go! Slow and steady wins the race, Dean. Slow and steady wins the race. And he crosses the line! Well done. This is by far... This is not bad at all, man. This is not bad at all, guys.
So what is it?
This is not bad at all. This is like a 4D number that you have to buy, Dean. Well done, Dean. 28.48 seconds, that lets him beat the number, I don't know, God knows how many, but he's not the last. That's the most important thing.
That's the most important.
Sorry, Victor, but I mean, you're the last still. But Dean is still the,
Well, decent enough.
Yeah, I would say it's decent. I mean, come on, man, you're even better than Lawrence.
True.
I mean, think about that.
That's a BMW,
think about that.
right?
Let that sink in. Let that sink in. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Dean, head of mobility for SP Group. Very, very good friend of mine. Thank you so much for watching. Hope he answered most of your questions, if not all. Hope you guys enjoy this video as much as I've interviewed Dean. Before we end off, any last words you want to tell our audience?
Well, I think the thing that I want to say is more if you are wondering about EVs, right? What's the deal with EVs? Are there enough charging points in Singapore? Are EVs suited for you? I hope today gone some way to answering some of the questions. If not, Sgcarmart makes fantastic content on reviews on cars. And I'm sure they'll be sharing a lot more on the many EV models that are coming up today and in the market going forward. So I think my message to everyone is, don't worry about EVs, about transiting to EVs. It's not as difficult or as painful as it may seem. I think there's a lot of positive and upsides going for it. There will be some downsides, some inconveniences as well, but such is life, right? We make do with both the ups and downs. But I think overall, we are in a good space in Singapore.
We win some, we learn some.
Yep.
Yes. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Dean. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for watching this video. In the meantime, stay safe and be well, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Really? This was you. Yes, I was like, wow.
Not bad, huh? Pedro, you should go. Pedro.
I think there was several others, like Adidas and all over there. And I was okay, we'll do a mic test first. Dean is mic'd up. Okay, we'll do a mic test first. Are we rolling?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Dean, you
Yep.
just repeat after me, okay? I, Dean,
Dean,
Head of Mobility SP Group,
Head of Mobility SP Group,
will give Julian Koh
will give Julian Cole
1 year free of SP electric, what is it? Bill. 1 week of SP electric bill.